What's up, Rebels? Andy here, Joe over there. This is the Restoration Rebel Roundtable for the 17th of May, 2023. It's getting hot, man. It's getting hot over here. It's like in the 80s in Bend today. That's stupid. Okay, here we go. We're going to start the way we always start. Here's the Rebel agreements. Agreement number 1, I will protect the value of my services. Agreement number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. Agreement number 3, I do not believe in competition. Agreement number 4, I'm willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. You know, I was following a couple stories in the news regarding insurance companies and the debacle that is the state of Florida, and insurance companies going into receivership, and I think UPC or somebody was doing some really shady stuff. And it occurred to me that if there was more transparency, like if we knew for every claim that happened that the contractor wrote this amount and the adjuster wrote this amount, and this is where it was settled at. If that was public knowledge, if there was transparency in the system of the claims environment, I think that's just me. I think there'd be a whole lot less funny business happening. And I think the problems that we're seeing, we would be able to get laser clarity on what's happening, right? Because we'd know, for every job that JS Held is on, the initial offer from the insurance company is 50% of what the contractor came up with magically. We don't have that level of transparency or reporting or mandatory reporting. Anyway, just a thought. So I had how much coaching do you do, Joe, on the daily basis? You write estimates for folks across the country. How much do your clients need Xactimate estimate writing versus just plain old-fashioned coaching and education?
I would say, well, I mean, it's obviously for me, it's a little bit, because usually by the time they need almost every one of them needs coaching. But then they realize that, that's the reason why they work with me or work with you even, is because we just do it better and more proficient, and it's just easier to say, screw it, just let you guys handle it. But I mean, I would say in a given week, I'm spending at least 10 hours a week on the phone with different people, either answering like a minor question for 10, 15 minutes here, or, I think the other day I spent a good 2.5 hours walking somebody through how to properly estimate for just a structure clean on a gutted building where it was all just stud work and open joists, because and we ended up increasing their estimate by almost $15,000. And I think the vast majority of the problems in the world is it's not so much people don't have the time to write the estimates. I just don't think people have the knowledge and the training behind them to do it.
They don't. Vast majority do not. I don't know what happened. It must be in the water. I've onboarded 4 brand new restorers in the last week. And the one thing they do know, they figure out real quick, shoot, I got to solve this Xactimate problem. As long as I get Xactimate, I can start work, right? So they solve that problem. They get a hold of you or me. And but at the end of the day, that's not where you need to start. You need to start with your process. You need to start with not just how you're going to get the lead, but how you're going to take care of the lead once you get one. Had a guy on the phone this afternoon that didn't even know. He's like, so what kind of contract do I need to put together? And I'm like, bro, you don't have a contract? So.
Well, I mean, it's an epidemic across the industry. I mean, I'm a big proponent, your estimate, your people, whoever's signing your work off, should have enough experience in the industry to be able to look at a job, throw a ball, and be within the courtyard of the price. You don't have to be exact, but people automatically do change orders all the time for the reconstruction side of work. But on mitigation, people act like you're out of your damn mind when you say, tell them, if you think it's gonna be $5,000, tell them it's gonna be $5,000 to $7,000.
$5,000.
And
That's a
then
lot of money.
Yeah, and then say, hey, but if I think it's going to go above that, we'll have you do a change order. It protects you as a client, and people don't even realize to do that. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people also there's just like teaching old dogs new tricks. There's a lot of people out there that think they can write estimates because they know how to write TPA estimates, and then they don't know how to write really good estimates because they're so used to not charging all the stuff.
The the level of friction you receive from the adjusters and the quickness with which you get paid is a direct indicator of how much profit you are actually making. Because profitable sheets don't move quickly through the process. They are analyzed, they are justified, they are beat up a little bit. But the one that is woefully short, woefully inadequate, the adjuster is going to, boom, check goes out tomorrow. So if you're one of those folks saying, I don't have a problem getting paid, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Either you're Joe Spears in Indiana, or you're not putting enough in. You're missing items. You're leaving dollars on the table because you're just not writing a thorough sheet.
I want to argue with that comment you just directed at me.
But it's too true.
But that fire job, I know a lot of people probably saw that fire job I posted in the group the other day. It was $365 starting out. Insurance cut it down to or the code blue people cut it down to $356, I think it was. And all, so 362, 356. I met with the adjuster today on the estimate, and he's like, Joe, look, he's like, if you want to put it in somewhere else and had it somewhere else, that's fine. He's like, but I already know that I cannot give you. It's a full total gut house fire. He's like, I'm just not gonna be able to give you the 60 hours you estimated for project management. He's like, my bosses will not let me approve that. He's like, if you can find it somewhere else, it's fine.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, I was like, 60 hours, man. Like I was like, that's a drop in the hat in my book.
On an emergency services side, that's not even a full week.
Well, no. This was for the full structure demo, structure clean, and recon all together.
How many months? How many weeks?
I estimated for 3 months.
3 months.
I think it was
80 hours over 3 months. And he can't afford that. He doesn't want to pay that.
But that's the thing is, I write a $365,000 or $362,000 estimate. Total, they knocked me down 10 grand. Am I really, if that's all they're going to take it off, I'm fine with it. Like, it's not.
You're still making money. You're still making money.
And that's the thing is.
Let's put on our coaching hats here. I'm gonna lay out a scenario. This is real world scenario. Happened this afternoon, and I gave this guy some advice, but I want to. You're the only one here, Joe, so you get to answer the questions first. I'm going to lay out a scenario, and then you tell me what you would recommend he do. Brand new restorer, one of his first jobs he's ever signing up, said, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing." So I coached him through a little bit. You got tree versus house. Car versus house. Actually, it turns out it's an apartment building. There's 8 units. Car comes in, does some damage. It looks like, a couple of the windows are bowing in. Definitely framing is missing. Some things seem to be a little bit out of whack in the basement. So it hit it good. But he said, tomorrow's meeting, what should I do? So going into, I'll let you answer, but then I'll tell you what I said. Going into tomorrow's meeting with the adjuster, he just saw that loss today. What expectations should he set, and how should he handle that first meeting with the adjuster tomorrow?
Is this under the impression he's already done emergency response board up and
he's going to probably board it up tonight?
Okay, so like I tell everybody, commercial and residential are not the same thing, and you cannot address them the same way. If it was residential, obviously you get in there, you start, pulling drywall, not a big deal. On commercial though, step one, you got to board it up, and then you stop, and you might put it in a dehumidifier if stuff's got wet, but outside of there, you go to your meeting and say, look, guys, like, first off, what's your expectations here? Like, we have structural damage to the building. It's a 6-story building with a basement, and we have bowed-in walls. We're probably going to need an engineer to get out here to address this here to make sure that we can structurally make the sound again and there's no damage. Then, we'll have to do, obviously it's a multi-dwelling function. We're going to have lead and asbestos testing done before we move forward, because any multi-family structure, which is more than 3, if it's a 2-part condo, you're fine. If it's 3 or more, you have to test it for asbestos on the drywall. So we have all these practices that we need to get in place first. And while we're doing that, before we can even start making the estimate up, we have to do all this. And while we're doing that, though, the people that are in these directly affected units, you as the company needs to have a communication with those tenants and say, hey, I hope you did buy renter's insurance, because y'all need to get moved out. Now, regardless if you're going to move them to a unit within the facility, or you're just going to let them break lease and get the hell out, that's up to you. But you guys work on that, and I'll work on getting all these engineer fees and everything done. And then once the unit's emptied, and then once I have these reports back, we'll have another come to Jesus meeting and say, here's what they want. It tested negative, but the structural engineer says we need to take off 2 stories of this brick so we can reflush these walls out and everything, which means that, or we got to jack up the joist. So we need to actually move out the people above us as well. So we can, and all you take it step by step. I mean,
yeah, you went where you went a little further than I went. I didn't even think about the tenants and things like that, but that's good advice. It's spot on. And the testing, I didn't bring up the testing. I should have. That's on me.
I mean, it's just like I had a guy that he did a job last year with a gas station fire. My he's like, the whole building was shot. And I said, well, the first thing you need to do is talk to the insurance and see if they want you to coordinate it or not. And you need to get a mobile office trailer dropped on site, get power ran to it, get a hold of the gas company, get them to run the register supply lines to this here to get the business back up and running. Because in a commercial loss, you board up or you do your initial extraction, and then you stop and you get the business back up and operating first. And then you can start addressing everything else, because
85%
is worse.
85% of businesses that experience a significant loss are gone. They never reopen. 85%. That is, so business continuity, getting that cash flow going again, if you can, is huge.
I mean, we've all seen those little gas stations, at the end of like a Kroger's or, at the end of the grocery stores, where it's just a little building and they got the snacks out front with coolers.
It's just a kiosk.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, if you can get those, that's what I was like, get that set up, get it back up and running, and then we can address everything. Because especially with like a commercial business, you guys have, especially if there's groceries in there, you guys have to realize they own the building. They own the building. I mean, most of the time the food is not owned by the business. It's, they have vendors that come in, like vendors for the beer come in. They stock that. They're going to have their own insurance. The vendors for the cooler, the PepsiCo, the Pepsi machines, the Coke machines, those are subbed out. So you might not, even the coverage might not cover any of that stuff. So it's a lot more procedural process.
So I told him not to talk about coverage. It's too early. And I also told him that tomorrow is not about what it's going to cost to repair the building. Tomorrow is about what it's going to take to open it up and inspect it and get engineering and whatnot to arrive at what is damaged. So then you can arrive at how to price it out. And I also told him that the adjuster, whether or not it's an independent adjuster, if it's an IA, they're just eyes and ears, right? That guy has no authority, and he's going to be obligated to write an estimate. That's part of his job. He's going to have to scope and write an estimate this week. And that's just the way it is. So if the adjuster tries to get him to start talking about repair scope, he needs to just say, you know what, if you need to do what you need to do, go ahead. There is too many unknowns for me to even start this conversation right now. And just let the adjuster do the thing. And I also recommended that he think through it tonight and put something on paper tomorrow so he can say, I think, based on my observations, I think it's going to take $5,500 to come in here, containments, tear apart drywall, get an engineer in, get some opinions, and really quantify this thing. I think it's going to be 5,500 or 10 grand, whatever he came, and that is what the conversation needs to be about. As long as he can get that work authorization signed, yeah, that's a successful thing, because then he can move forward with the claim. He'd said something interesting.
Well, and that's the thing that everyone needs to realize is like, you're not, like I said, emergency response residential is to get it dried as quick as possible and get it repaired because they're living there. They're not going to move out. A business, though, you have multiple, you got to think of it as how many different ways could I get sued? There's a tenant, there's the property management, there's the insurance. You got to cover all your bases. And I mean, engineering all the time. Anytime I'll call an engineer on a heartbeat. It won't bother me one bit, but the more, it's just like when you do a bid. If you do a bid and you're like, well, my drywaller says it's actually $7,500 and Xactimate only gave me 68. You have a third party verifying your facts. This engineer does the same thing. He verifies, here's what I think should be done. And then it takes that liability off your shoulders and you don't have that responsibility.
Right. So he said, just to confirm, am I signing for my inspection fee with the adjuster or the owners? And I said, the owners. Wait, am I getting the adjuster to agree to the amount? And I said, you are telling him what it will cost. No agreement necessary. We're talking about the cost of doing the inspections and engineering or whatever else needs to happen. And then he says, if it seems high to the owners, what do I tell them to not have them feel stressed about it or about the money? To which I replied, stress is good. It's important that they understand they are responsible to pay for all work performed. If they don't like your price, be willing to walk. But if they do, be willing to jump in and do a bang-up job.
There's a massive difference between giving an estimated price and giving an agreed price. This year's going to be, I will do all the demolition and I'll cover the engineer coming out here for $5,500. That's one thing. But if you're like, from my best case scenario, I think between the engineer and stuff, you're probably going to be around $5,500. That's not a set in stone number. It's more, it's an estimate. But when you sign your agreement, you say, we're estimating it to be $5,500, but you put that buffer right below there, but not to exceed $5,500 without a change order, some kind of language like that at least locks you in. Because I've told people, if you don't have a price on the estimate and you had to go to court, if it just says pricing for Xactimate estimate, the judge is going to throw it out immediately. He's going to say, well, that homeowner doesn't know if that means the Xactimate, whatever that is going to be $1 or $100 or $1 million. It's not a legal contract. And anybody that works off of the adjuster's estimate, you're already set up for failure. I don't care if I was the adjuster on the job. I don't know
how people do that still.
Because they treat it as, well, these are the undisputed funds and we'll supplement for everything later, even though they know going into it that they missed 30-40%. But that's a lot of that. I think is a lot of people that came from the roofing side, because there are roofing coaches out there for roofing businesses that literally say, if you're not supplementing for at least 30% more than the adjuster's estimate, you're losing money. Like they're teaching them to supplement after the work's done. And I'm like, that's horrible. Don't do that. Come with your own estimate and say, I'm a proud business owner. Here's what I say needs to be done. Let's talk about this before I get deep in there, because the last thing I want is to say it's X amount of money and then the adjuster says too fucking bad, and I have to work with my homeowner or my business owner and they have no money to give me.
Yeah. Hey, I renewed my RIA membership today. Are you current?
I bought mine
signed up like 2 weeks ago.
I bought mine like a week and a half before RIA, so I'm good for now. But you want, but here, you know what? Here, I got one we can talk about real quick. Here's a little add on here. It's about you want to talk about unique situations that people come into. You'll like this one. Let me bring up the Zoom here.
I also found my first offshore estimate writer today. It was a guy guy in Pakistan,
Nice.
and he's going to be writing sheets for Peanuts. So we'll see. I got some sketches back from him, and he was fast and he was good. Estimates are yet to be seen. We'll see.
So I know you've probably seen me in the past kind of post a little bit about this. I tried to do a video about it the other day, but this is my big historical 1902 house. And they had a fire here, and like, you know, a lot of people don't do this historical stuff. I hate it.
Is that full brick or veneer?
That's full on brick, my friend.
So are those walls like a foot thick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at those windowsills.
Yeah, they're thick boys. And you know, when you're doing a property like this here, guys, like I'll show you some of the hiccups that we have in this here. Oh, didn't mean to go fast. Look at the judge panels. That's a judge panel, everybody.
Yeah, that
when
is
you guys
not.
are all talking about
That is not a quarter round cut in a square and glued to a wall. That right there is judge's panel.
And this pocket door, look how thick that door jamb is.
Good God.
Yeah. Thank God on this house here, man, it's all updated wiring. Thank God there. But you guys, you know, by the way, I scanned this like 3 or 4 weeks ago. The fire happened in January. And yes, they haven't even gotten the contents out. And the contractor assigned to this file said, well, we can't write an estimate until we get the pack out done. And they're waiting. And I'm like, well, then why haven't you done the pack out yet? They have a baby. There's a baby grand, and it's been sitting in this house for 4 months with no environmental controls. Like I got
to bring this thing to the other screen here.
I am stressing my life out.
Okay, so it's been sitting. Where was the source? Where's the source of the fire? Was it in the living room there?
Second floor.
Let's go see it. Let's start there.
Which we've had this, and what's funny is this is actually a job the Allstate team, because they're the ones that called me out here to write the estimate for the adjuster because it's so big. They had like 35 adjusters out on this job site doing like a training seminar through this class, and they couldn't agree on
really.
Shit. Yeah, and I'll talk. That's why I thought it'd be good for us to talk about it. So
they're using this as a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the construction on the outside. Okay, so that's not. At least it's not brick on the second floor. It's probably a brick veneer on the second floor then.
Hang on here. Let me pull up the hover here. Hover. If you can't see the first issue I have with this job right now by looking at the framing, then I'm going to be disappointed in you.
Well, it's dimensional, but
it's balloon.
It's ballooned, you said?
Balloon framing?
Yes, it's balloon framing.
Which adds so much more. If you guys are not aware of what balloon framing is, you see how there's no sill plates?
Well, it's just open. Yeah.
That's what the balloon is. So here's your hover here. It's brick all the way up.
Yeah, but it's a veneer because you're seeing the sheathing on the back side.
Oh, okay. You're true there, yeah.
So the upstairs interior walls are not going to be as thick as the downstairs interior walls.
Yeah. It's dimensional here. It's a slate here. And then, of course, anybody that's aware with historical society homes, we have to detach, sandblast, and try to salvage as much of this wood as possible. Any of the windows, these windows here, each of these are an individual pane put into the grid. We have to detach and reuse the glass, and then sand and refinish as much of the wood. You cannot just buy a new window and put it in there.
Look at that.
Sucks.
Yeah, you got to rebuild every single one of those windows. Rebuild it by hand.
You know, so okay, here. First question that me and the adjuster talked about, and give me your opinion here. This fireplace was boarded up and covered up. You can see by the wood here.
Oh, so it was out of use.
Yep, it was an abandoned. You didn't even know the fireplace was there until this plaster all fell down.
Okay, so it was abandoned, and it's even framed in, right?
Yeah.
There's 2x4 framing.
Would you leave that framing there, Andy?
Ooh.
I told the adjuster I'm going to brick this up and seal it up because obviously soot and smoke got up in there, and just by boarding it up with plywood and everything, that odor can still come out of that whatever chimney access there is. Like this.
Well, it's a chimney. Smoke came up it for a long time.
Yeah, but when you have a brand new house and they start complaining about smoke, you're going to be really hard to be like, well, it's a chimney. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to board that. I'm going to brick that up.
Well,
Adjuster said they're cool with that.
Look at the corner. Look at the left corner. Get to the left corner. I want to see the condition of the mortar and the brick. Now go to the other space. Go to the, click onto the, no. There. Yeah. Click. Okay. Where are you?
Right there.
There's missing brick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's recent.
Okay.
It's not old.
Yeah, that it all got fragile from the heat.
And they might have an argument to replace it. The whole thing.
Yeah. We've got you know what that is? Big old
Plumbing?
white pipe run. No. Whole central vac. Which
Yeah,
there's
they did some
something
upgrades to
seriously
this
wrong with-
place.
Well, between me and you, there's no way that central vac worked. There's no way. My favorite
Well,
plumbing
not
in the whole
now.
wide world. My
Look
favorite
at
plumbing in
that.
the whole wide world. I despise any plumber that used the PVC, whatever it's called, the old school PEX stuff, whatever you want to call it. Like,
That's not even
such-
PEX.
well, here's a bigger problem. So here's what I'm gonna show you. Check this shit out. So that plumbing is right here, because this is the shower.
Yeah,
Okay.
Abby's got it. CPVC.
Man, here, so here, and this is the storage room on the second floor. Directly below, I'm in the wrong button because I'm stupid. Sorry. So here's my plumbing line item plumbing right here. Directly below is this wall cavity, and the pocket door goes into this wall cavity.
Oh God, you're gonna gut this entire place to the studs.
I'm gonna have to. Well, I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna
do a
have
lot
to
of
gut this entire place to the studs. Yep.
Oh, did I mention they have no code upgrade coverage for anything in this house?
What? How?
Yeah.
How do they not
because
have that?
I told the adjuster that's you might have to talk to somebody about a E&O claim here, because I can't believe this place does not have it. But so we had this room
Well,
here.
maybe because it is part of a historical society, they are exempt from mandatory code compliance. Maybe.
I mean, all the electrical obviously was updated. There's no I don't see a single bit of knob and turn in this whole house, except for like a few random knobs here and there.
Yeah, it's
But
been torn
overall,
out. It's been torn out.
You know, one of the next issues we have in this property is talking about this banister. Look at the level of detail on there. Now, me,
Oh man.
I say detach, take off site to a wood finisher, let them sand and refinish it, and then bring it back and install it.
Oh my God. This is
I mean, even if you
geez,
right to
how big a
replace-
house is this? How big a house is this?
like 4,000 square feet for 4 stories. But I mean, look at the rounding on the skirts.
Damn.
You've got the continuous.
This is
rounded-
Indiana, right?
This is Ohio.
Ohio. Let's just do that. At 225 a foot, that is a $900,000 loss. And that might be short. This is
So
gonna take some
then-
time. Are you writing this?
I'm not doing the job. The adjuster said she didn't have the time to write this. She asked me to write it for her. He's already got a
Oh.
contractor. But the contract,
Okay.
this happened in January, and the contractor hasn't given them an estimate yet. So she's like, Joe, take care of this. So
The contractor
This-
shit his pants and ran away.
okay, so here we go. This is the room. They had 50, from my understanding, there was 15 different adjusters from all states standing in this room here, arguing over what needed to be done in this room here.
It's
The-
balloon framing, high heat, pressurized smoke. You are gutting this house to the studs. There is no argument to be had.
Now, well, according to the initial review guy that was out there trying to trim one, he's like, you should only really need to take out the ceiling. The rest of this should be cleaned and can
My
be resealed."
ass.
And that's what I said. I said, you got a duct right here, which means that any smoke that came in this room could go straight up that duct and get in the wall cavity.
Kiss
You-
my hairy white
You've
ass.
got broken spots right here where this is obviously extra access points, like just
What's that
right
note? What's that note say?
Damage to window casing line access point for smoke to penetrate wall cavity.
There we go. There we go.
Here's one that I didn't put in here yet, but
Now, are you
so-
linking when you write this estimate? Are you going to link up those You know, you can hit U, right? Hit U. Type U right now.
Yeah.
You can copy that, and wherever it's pointing, it's going to show.
Yep.
Are you embedding those into your estimates?
I wasn't that much, but that training class I did last week, that's one of the things they were recommending everybody to do. And I was like, I like that.
It's clutch.
Now here's another one for you. If you look at the hover here, so the fire's over here, but there's a chimney here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody but me realized there's another abandoned fireplace behind
There's an abandoned fireplace behind that.
But yeah, so we're in agreement that this room here is going to be a full gut, which will be fun.
Who's doing the contents on this thing?
Not a clue. I have no clue who's doing what out here. Like I said, they're just having me write the estimate here. But here's
Does she want you to do the contents? Because I've got a gal that could do it from the Matterport.
I'll talk to her and ask her.
In Xactimate. Ask her because Barb Jackson can do that.
I really want to know what the hell was originally in this bathtub. Look at that.
Ew. It's like a pelt.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, what the hell happened there? Like, that's weird. So
it looks like that coat.
Obviously, a full gut wallpaper. Got to save as much of the windows as we can. Not a big deal in this room here.
There's wallpaper? Abby thinks they dissolved a body in that bathtub, and she might not be wrong.
Yeah, wallpaper. Now remember, guys,
wallpaper or is that plaster? It is wallpaper.
So wallpaper, not a big deal there.
It's a print. That's historic wallpaper. That shit's $8 million a roll.
Okay, Andy. How much for this archway here?
Is it plaster or wood?
That's a sexy wood archway.
Ooh. Good God.
Now the question the adjuster had for me, Joe, is it going to be cheaper just to replace this or detach it safely, sand, refinish it, and reinstall it? And I said, 50-50 chance there, my friend,
50-50.
because that is expensive as hell to even make happen.
I tell you what you should do is you should find a guy with a laser. I know a guy with a laser, but he's in Bend, Oregon. But man, you could save all that. As long as it's not heat damaged, you could strip that down with a laser to bare wood and refinish it like nobody's business.
Obviously, we got another full gut in here. I love how
I keep hearing beeps in the back of my headset, and I can't figure out where it's coming from.
I love how clean the closets are for this bad burnt room.
Oh my God. Those doors had a good seal on them.
Yeah. Now here's the note for you here.
Okay, that's a good question, Scotty. Why not abrasive clean? Because this is a historical house, and when you abrasive clean, you're actually affecting and changing the profile, and you're removing base material along with the contaminant. So laser, which is just fine-tuned frequency wavelength to just not burn the wood but burn off the contaminant, that'd be my guess. Sandblast, definitely not. Sandblasting it's just too aggressive.
Now I might say I'll sandblast the substrates and the
I'd ice blast it before I sandblast it, because you can dial down ice blasting much lower than you can sandblasting or cob blasting or soda blasting. Let me go on a little bit of a rant about blasting in general. What most people don't really understand is when you're kicking out, was it a cubic foot of material a minute?
Not burn the wood, but burn off the contaminant.
Whoa, is that me?
Ooh. That was me.
Oh, you're on the Facebook?
Yeah.
I'm sounding nasally today. I heard that. I'm coming down with something. So here's my thoughts on blasting any material. If you're shooting out a cubic foot a minute of material, guess what you have to clean up? A cubic foot times however many minutes you blasted. And no one really understands what that looks like. Hundreds of cubic yards of soda that's been aerosolized and then blasted on something and landed willy-nilly everywhere else, you're going to spend more time cleaning the substrate, cleaning the material off of everything than you are actually cleaning the material or cleaning the substrate.
Yeah, if you
So,
soda blast, like if it says, if you're estimating 4 hours of soda blasting, you need to estimate at least another 4 hours of cleaning that mess up.
at least clean
So
the
here's
mess up.
one for you. Here's one that me and the
That's why I
kind
go
of-
ice blasting. Ice blasting, frozen CO2, it's gone. Gone,
Yeah.
gone.
So here's one that I got for you here in all. So I scanned this dining room, which, God, that's a beautiful room. I love the look of this room. But I saw up here at the top this. Now this is directly above or below that fire room we were just in.
Okay, water.
Water damage. And you can even see
Okay.
some streaking here thanks to the 4K resolution along this wall here, right? Is this part due to the fire? Do you think?
What was the room above it?
So we're right here at this pinpoint line here.
What was the
And-
use of the room above it? Was it a bedroom? What was it?
Hang on.
It's a bathroom. No,
And it's this wall.
bedroom.
I don't see any water damage in this room here.
Yeah, did the fire put itself out?
I think the smoke just carried over here. What we figured out on it though was there's a window behind that door or behind that wall that's been boarded up and it must be leaking.
It looks like a door. Wait, no, it's a window. It looks a different size than the one on the left, but the same size as the one on the bottom. And weird, look at how it's even trimmed differently.
Yeah, they put some plywood over the window panes and try to seal it up. And I'm assuming water's leaked in there or it's leaked in there underneath that crack right there under the seal there. But totally not covered, not part of the loss. But
You know, why even bring it up though? Because you've already determined you are gutting this place to the studs.
not everything downstairs.
Why not?
What needs to be gutted in here? There's no signs of water damage except for that single spot there.
But it's directly below the fire damage unit?
It's directly below the heavy soot damage from unit.
Oh, the fire didn't originate there?
No, the fire originated. So the fire originated over here in the front corner here, where this is the source room right here. That's why
Oh.
it's so shot.
Why is it so dark on the opposite side? Was a window open? I wonder. Huh.
From my understanding, the master bedroom door was shut. That's why
Okay.
it's not heavy
That's why
smoke
it's
in there.
Yep,
But this door was open and the smoke all traveled into here.
it sure did. Oh, the nursery breaks your heart.
And luckily, nobody got hurt. Nobody stuff. Full gut on the bathroom, obviously. I mean, I ain't even gonna try to clean and salvage that toilet. Like that's just not even worth it. I've had somebody
know-
just say, "Oh, you can clean it. It's porcelain. Clean it."
Once you try to save something, right? Once you say, "Oh, well, not every room needs to be gutted," and what's it going to look like when every other room in this house is gutted, but the formal dining room somehow made it unscathed, and you don't have to do anything?
Well, and and here's the other question is, so like these baseboards, these are 10-inch bad solid wood baseboards. If they're just smoke damage, can't they be blasted or material blasted and restored and salvaged? That's the question the adjuster keeps asking me. How much, like this wood here, can that just not be cleaned?
You won't know until you pop it
restained?
off.
Yep.
And if it's not original, you can probably replicate it cheaper than you can save it.
And I don't know if you can tell on the hardwood floor here, but these are all 1x6. So I'm sure
Mm.
I would not even be surprised if this is installed just directly, on the joist if I open up the wall cavities.
Oh yeah,
Or
sure it is. Sure it is.
We've got the other bathroom here, which
That's going to be a big number.
but here's my favorite part. If I go into the second, so this is the servants, this is their son's room, but this was back in the day, the servants' quarters. They are feeling that they're going to give me the ceiling here because obviously the way the joist run and everything, smoke traveled over to here. Not a big deal, but they are not seeing any need to demo out all these walls because when this hole here that you can see from, I'm clicking too much to make it one car stick. You can see how there's not a heavy soot in the wall cavities here. They're saying, well, that proves us that the soot didn't get inside these walls.
It doesn't prove anything. You got to get a hygienist out there.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things. You like the power distribution box randomly here? No code upgrade, so I can't move this downstairs to the
Oh,
basement to the
no,
main
no,
power box.
you can move it. You've just got to value engineer the loss, but it's not your deal. It's not on you.
Yeah.
That's on somebody else.
All right, so here, give me what line item for this paint job, my friend? Special
Oh.
effects, faux.
That's
That's a
faux.
weekend special, is what it's called.
That's-
Okay, that's
yes,
a weekend special.
But it's a faux, man. It's a one layer. I mean, that's a
This is-
faux. Yeah,
this is
either
gonna be a
that or you
full
call
gut.
it a mural. You call that
Yeah.
a mural and see what that number comes up with. That's going to be a big number.
This is a full gut, 100%, because the joist in this little front offset here with the, ran up and over. So, went up this little hole right here. So this entire floor is a full gut.
All right,
Which, thank God-
Scotty has a question. He wants to know what the word value engineer means. And what I mean when I say value engineer, I mean you're going to write an estimate, right? Joe's writing an estimate for the insurance company, a little bit different, but what that estimate does is just a claims settlement document that establishes the bucket of money, essentially your budget for the entire project. Now, whatever contractor takes this on can accept the budget without accepting the scope. So you accept the budget. Yeah, I can bring this back for X. But then inside that budget, you work with the scope, you work with the homeowner, and you value engineer. You find things that you can, maybe you decide to buy something out with a sub, and that sub comes in way below what that budget number is. And then all of a sudden you've got a big chunk of that budget that was ostensibly earmarked for the sub or that trade. Now you've got this money to work with. Now you're going to take some profit out of that because you're in business as a contractor, but that is a way you can value engineer, find value in that and still get this work done, proper scope of work and whatnot, but then allow for moving that box. It's going to be $2,500. Okay. We need to find $2,500 somewhere else in this budget. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Too many people have a fundamental misunderstanding of Xactimate estimates. Xactimate estimates are not meant to be scope dictating scope. They're just there to develop indemnity, get to a number, and allow the insurance company to write a check. What happens from that point forward? I always advocate the first thing contractors do once that settlement check arrives is issue a change order. And that change order is you coming from this imaginary thing that the adjuster put together or the estimator put together and go into a real world project of this is what we're going to do. And that change order, that number, the total amount is the only thing that transfers between those two documents. Everything else changes. And when I say everything else changes, I mean everything else changes. So good. Yeah, let me know.
So here's what sucks. This is R30 insulation in the ceiling, right? Local code is for R49 now.
Yeah, one of your first deals is you're going to have to go into the historical society code and see whether or not they're going to enforce code on this building.
Historical societies already told me all they care about is visually the outside. They don't give a damn about the inside.
Really?
Yeah, thank God. But how am I? But there's no code upgrade coverage, and this
But
is
you still have to get a permit to do this thing.
Yeah, and I
Are you even going to get occupancy if you don't bring it up to code? You may not.
Oh, well, that's one of the reasons why they've really not done work yet, because with no code upgrade, I mean, if the homeowners don't have the money to pay for it out of pocket, the house is going to sit there and they're going to take the money and run.
But keep in mind, the moving the distribution panel is one thing, but the only difference is, I mean, what is that? What'd you say? It's R30? They only owe the difference between the price of R30 and the price of R49 because the installation is going to be identical. What is the real delta on that material?
Yeah, that's something I got to figure out.
That's all they That's all they have to figure out. And that's not a huge number. And once again, value engineer.
Yeah. We got plaster over here that need to be tested before removed. And obviously we're going to go back with like kind of quality. So we'll just go back with drywall there. But, the question then we got to look at the policy and figure out, do they owe for like kind of quality, or do they owe for direct costs? Because then they owe for lab and plaster, but I put drywall on and then I have money to move around.
Maybe, the last few times I've done lath and plaster, it didn't come up. It didn't, I wasn't like, oh man, it's a whole lot more money than drywall. It's been too long. I don't remember precisely what the number was, but it wasn't really blowing my skirt up at the end of the day. Maybe I was estimating it incorrectly.
So this window here, obviously we're gonna have to clean this window up, make sure it's operational and all. And each of these panes is an individual glass pane.
Yeah. So Sean Ivory says, bring third-party experts that work for the homeowner to agree on scope before do anything. Yeah, I would second that. But Joe's job is to come to a number. So
right, and the adjuster is very well aware that I've already been like, hey, this will help you get your reserve number, but you and me both know there's going to be a lot of sub bids that are going to drastically change this price, because like that banister, I can give you a number. I might be right. I might be way the fuck off. I don't know.
Might be 200% off. Right.
Look at this room. This room, oh, my favorite room in a house probably one of my favorite rooms I've been in.
Oh,
top
wow.
5. And it's all exposed up there. Now, the roof was only damaged over there on the architectural shingles. This is the slate turret. And I'm going to tell the adjuster, look, there's daylight in here from damaged slates and all. So that would, but you can see how much soot damage is on these rafters here, and I can't clean between each of these grooves here. And it's going to be impossible for me to seal this up and not let soot smell come back out without taking that slate roof off. So I'm going to argue that this slate roof still needs to come off. She's under the impression that we could just spray and seal it up. And I'm like, no.
And that whole thing needs to be blasted, dry ice.
Okay.
Whole thing.
So, but it's full gut in this room here. That'll be pretty easy for me. That's not going to be too hard. I got some speakers. I got some doors. Nothing too extreme. We're going to be taking off this whole turret set or truss set up here. It's all decking. So we're going to do at least the
It's all skip sheeted.
well, pretty much what the adjuster and me have agreed upon is pretty much this entire slope here and this slope here. We're going to redeck all this slope. They won't.
Yeah.
They're not going to pay to redeck the back slope.
I heard somebody was telling me yesterday that they've got some documentation that I think it came from Cal Spoon's class, that once you put on a roof and take off a roof, that sheathing is no longer a valid nailable surface. And so every re-roof requires a resheet. And at least that's Cal Spoon's take on it.
It depends on how many, I guess it depends on how many holes are in the wood and how, because that's kind of the argument is if this is the third or fourth roof on that plywood, every nail, you're in so many penetration points in there, it's not a nailable surface anymore. If it's the second, maybe reusable, but yeah, I mean, these trusses here, obviously they're too crocodile and they're not going to be able to be reused. We got the whole window thing here, which I can't even get a good viewpoint of this damn thing because of the board up, but this will be a fun room here. Now let's talk about the stuff where we're not demoing. So like I said, in this down here, the adjusters mainly, I mean, their opinion is mainly a lot of this can be cleaned. They don't think that they're not going to pay for this water staining over here because we've identified it due to that window. And here,
you're gonna clean and paint.
Well, yeah, we're not going to gut. We're not going to gut. But over here, we are going to gut.
Trim. Oh man.
You can see here where the water ran down right there. So we are going to be
4-part casing.
1, 2. I think that's mitered right there.
No, there's quarter round. And then
quarter round casing.
And then that piece, and then the center, that piece. Yeah,
Yep.
There's 3 at least.
Now then, here's what pissed me off. look at all the mess on the staircase, right? Obviously, they didn't take time to protect it. This damn thing, I don't know how the glass didn't break on this here. That's a miracle in itself. This bathroom, I don't know what we're going to do with this bathroom because look. Obviously, the fire didn't damage this bathroom.
But where did all that debris come from?
Yeah, except for right there where it looks like water leaked down the electrical line here.
Wait a minute, where did all that debris come from? Up above? What's up?
I think they threw shit down over the staircase. Somehow didn't break that. It's the only thing I can imagine. And they just got a big old
Look up. What's the ceiling look like?
white.
What the hell?
Somebody left this damn door open while they were chucking shit down over the banister, and the dust flew into here. Oh, like they ruined a room that could have been salvaged from laziness. So we got that.
Man.
You know, you got in here in the kitchen.
Yeah, Scotty says it has to be a nailable surface. Yeah, we knew that. May be hard to argue that after one install that it wouldn't be nailable. Yeah, I agree.
We got some busted tiles here.
There's some PAs taking a much harder stance on that right now.
You know, I even put a note in here, cracked and damaged tile possibly be due to subfloor swelling, but we don't know. And Jester's kind of on the fence on whether or not she's
I am just not for trying to be a hero in this place.
Yeah.
I mean, I say get a hygienist in there, have him pull baseboards and drill inspection holes everywhere, do actual soot and combustible testing, and he can tell us what is what, and then it's just following his protocol, not following your best guess or somebody else's opinion.
You know, and then like in here, the adjuster's like, there's nothing wrong with this kitchen. It just needs to be clean and all and painted. We don't need to demo this kitchen out. Now.
So day one, they're already trying to, I think this goes to the story that we just talked about. They're trying to talk scope on day one. You have no way to determine full scope until you do further testing.
Yeah. I mean, granted, she's just wanting me to do a best guess scenario on the job here just to get something to get some numbers rolling because she started waiting on the thing on the contractor, but still, obviously the door's got to be replaced here.
I think you can get to 500 in a hurry and let her start stroking checks.
Yeah, but the jam, in my opinion, the door's got to be replaced because obviously you can see where they kicked it in there. But I don't see enough damage on this jam to warrant having to replace the entire jam. So I mean,
who knows?
Yeah,
you're gonna have to open it up.
Now the basement.
All right,
hang on, real quick.
All right, get down to the basement. Man,
so,
such a storyteller. All right, here we go.
Like I said, there is no way in heaven or hell you're going to convince me that central vac system was operational before the fire. There's no handprint saying it's been dumped. There's rust on it. There's electrical tape right here. That thing was abandoned a million years ago.
It's not really working right now.
There's my breaker panel. There's my telecommunication junction box, which looks like shit. We got
Abby spotted it. Is there a freezer down there? Abby says that's where the dead body's hidden. There it is. Yeah, it's cut up, but it's in there. Trust me.
But here's the thing that sucks is like they don't owe for code upgrade. So as long as these plumbing lines are not broken, they'll replace whatever they need to and leave everything else behind. We're just going to put it, they want to have the water.
I'm going to have a hard time leaving CPVC in a house, especially that house.
Now here's
now does the I wonder if the owner has any money, like could they get a loan and do this right while they're at it? I bet they could.
You can see the mold here on the ceiling.
There that'll help them out.
Here's one for you, Andy. Let me hear your argument here. So look at all the mold here up in the ceiling.
Is that mold or dirt?
That's mold.
Okay.
That is all. Look at that drywall there. That's all moldy.
From the big boy.
And this is directly underneath the source room on the second floor. There's even water.
Well, it's conceivable. I mean, it was in January, right? Yeah, that could be moldy for sure from the loss.
Oh yeah. But how much of this basement needs to be addressed, because if you look, hang on, let me jump over here.
That's suspected growth, my friend.
If,
That is not
well,
mold.
like this is on the complete backside of the house. And you can see all the mold in here. That was
Suspect.
not directly affected by the,
Yeah, but the moisture level in that basement stayed elevated for quite some time.
yeah. But then look at this. I mean, that's long-term. That's foundation leaking for
I don't know,
years and
man. I
years.
think you should have licked it while you were there. You should know for sure.
It's just dirt. I mean, it'll be okay. But yeah, like this is gonna
I
be a
can
fun,
taste Stachybotrus.
this will be a very fun project to end up writing, and once I
Yeah, it
get a
will.
better number, I'll know about it. But yeah,
will.
I mean, the only thing that the Historical Society cares about is the outside.
Is the outside.
All the wood has to be salvaged, all the windows, as much of the windows as possible.
And the outside looks like shit. Huh. Yeah.
And then
It wasn't even really taken care of. All right. I'm cutting you off
You're good.
because we have to. We gotta go. People have things to do. I've got a family to go see, you know. All right, man. Well, I don't know what happened last week that we scared everyone off for this week.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about it until like the last second when I saw your post saying get ready for the group. I was like, oh, I'm late. So I bet you some people, we've both been busy and quiet in the groups. I
Yeah.
think we just need to renew the experience,
Yeah.
the invite.
I'll get the word out. So, well, until next week, Joe, be good, man.
You guys all have a good night.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do. See ya.